It's Operation Snowman's Land that I was thinking about.
Okay, so I just gotta give you guys a link. So let me know if it actually works. Hold on a sec.
Do you want to share screen or what?
I will share the link. So it's gonna be a low latency live stream, and then you guys can probably listen in on the stream instead of over here, and then you can ask questions here. Hold on.
So do we just go into the normal Armor editor?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you just now. Does that screen does the stream link work for you guys?
Put it put general.
I put in general, yeah, in Discord.
Yeah, it works. But it's gonna be delayed, I'm guessing, if we do it like this.
It's on ultra low latency, so it should only be delayed a few seconds.
Oh, I said okay.
It should only be delayed a few seconds.
Yeah, as I clicked on mute.
Okay, well, in that case, so it's probably best that you actually listen to that one and then ask me questions in TeamSpeak, because then you won't have like a disconnect between the video stream and this.
Oh, so we should mute TeamSpeak and not the video.
Isn't the video going to be a bit delayed?
Okay.
Microphone muted.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I just want to check. Let me know when you guys can hear me. Can you hear me now? Oh, sorry. Sorry, I just want to check. Let me know when you guys can hear me. Can you hear me now?
Hear you.
Oh, sorry. Okay, cool. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna start the mission here.
I could get fuck all.
Unmute the video.
Yeah, unmute the video.
There's double audio
User
coming
entered your
through.
Yeah,
channel.
there's fuck audio.
Hold on a second. Let me. Okay, so you might hear yourself in TeamSpeak.
Okay, I had to mute the video because I'm getting everybody on TeamSpeak on the video.
Sound muted.
That's why. So I'm not going to hear you on TeamSpeak anymore. So just poke me there on TeamSpeak there. So if you have any questions or whatnot. Yeah. So or in the chat or whatnot. Okay. So I'm just going to start Armor 3. I'm going to start with our Xamph. So actually, yeah, with our main mod line. So I'm going to start Armor 3, and then I'll just check if you guys can see the game as well. Cause what I'm doing is I'm streaming my desktop at 200% scaling, so it should be nice and visible for you guys. Currently, there's only 2 people watching it, so yeah. There is a way. What is the way about? Okay, are you guys? Is anyone still having issues with the audio? Okay, guys, just let me know. Are we good? Can I continue? Can you let me know on TeamSpeak chat or just any sort of chat? Let me know. Can I continue? Because I can't hear you guys on TeamSpeak.
Hey, wake up.
Okay. Okay, so I need to check concurrent viewers. Okay, there are 5 concurrent viewers, so I think that's enough. Alright, so I'll carry on then. Okay, so what do you want to do? Just first thing you want to do, pick your terrain. So I picked Mull of Kintyre as per what Brute Force requested. And then we are going to just what we're going to do first is just save the terrain. So the way we initially start making missions, or today, is we use Zulu-Alpha Mission's framework, and we just basically copy over files and slots and stuff like that. So we just need someone to copy to, so we're going to make a blank mission. So I'm going to do that now. So I'm going to go to just save it and say so in terms of file naming convention, this is just a note, is we'll just do like for co-op at, and then the number of players the mission is designed for. I'll also make this an 8, and I'll make this op example. And then we'll explain, versioning is kind of handy, so I'll explain later why it's important, but just make it easy for yourself to like change the version number if you want. This is major, minor, patch, not too important to worry about it, but allow yourself to be able to change version numbers. So I am going to also untick binarize the scenario file, because actually it's not that important now, but it will be important in the future when we upload missions to the server, to the website as well. So I'm just going to save it. Okay, now I'm going to go to where it gets saved to. So I have Zulu-Alpha Missions. Okay, so hopefully it won't. Let me just do this. Okay, there we go. Not bouncing around anymore. So the location for the missions file is going to be C users at your name, documents, armor 3. So I'm just going to go, so this is documents. So it's documents, armor 3, other profiles. So it's usually under other profile Phoenix, and then missions. This is what you call the mission source folder. So you can see example over here. So I'm just going to go inside on this side, and then the XAMPF. So what we want is a Zulu-Alpha Mission framework. So it's just like Zulu-Alpha / XAMPF. And all you have to do to get this, because the GitHub is more for developers, you don't have to contribute to anything like this. There's actually also a fancy README that's actually relevant to everything if you forget anything. So what we want to do is download it. So where's the download? Code, and then download zip. Yeah. So we download the zip, and the zip actually, yeah, no, I'm not gonna download it right now, but you download the zip, and then when you extract it, you're going to have a folder called XAMPF inside. So you go to XAMPF, you go to XAMPF VR. You want to put the XAMPF folder that contains everything. You want to put it inside the mission source folder, same as where your new mission is, like an op example, because we're going to need to access the XAMPF itself in armor 3, and that's why. Okay, so go to XAMPF, and then we go to XAMPF VR, which is the actual .VR. By the extension of dot is actually the island. So VR is a virtual reality island. .ROF mock is Mull of Kintyre, Lithium, Kujari. So actually the extensions for the X folders themselves are actually the island. So this is just VR. So we're just going to select everything, but not the mission. We're not going to override that. And we just copy it into our mission that we just made, the op example. And that's pretty much it in terms of copying over files. Okay, is everyone sorted so far? I'm assuming there's a bit of delay. Okay, in chat, just let me know if you guys are sorted. Okay, cool. So once we copied the files over, then we want to go into the XAMPP folder. So because we copied the XAMPP folder in missions, it'll show up over here. So this supports subdirectories as well, just to let you know with the mission folder. And unfortunately, brute force lost connection is better. And actually, I'll just show you. So you can, it does support subfolders like ZA Drill Grounds. There's actually a bunch of missions inside there. So when you open the mission folder, you actually see the same, you actually see the whole structure. So I've got all of these files, and then these are like subfolders. So inside XAMPP is going to be one of those. So inside XAMPP, you actually have the XAMPP.vr. You open that. By the way, this whole Zulu-Alpha Mission framework just creates a whole template for you, so you don't have to worry about slots and crates and respawn and any of that stuff. You just place down your enemies, and that's pretty much your mission, actually. So it actually makes things a lot faster. So I'll explain what everything is first, but basically we're just going to copy paste everything to our file. That's pretty much it. But I'll explain what everything else is first. So you guys are all familiar with the slots, and these are optional crates. These little bunch of crates here are optional. So Arsenal, we usually just hide them, and then people play hide and seek with that, unintentional Easter egg hunt. Then we have suppressors over here, optional depending on mission. Although it's used quite often in real life, even for normal more regular soldiers. So it's not necessary to hide. And then surveillance, it just contains the UAV, I believe. Actually, we won't see what it is. So that's pretty much what those crates contain. When it comes to customizing the actual loadouts is another story, but I'll do it a bit later if someone asks. And then you can delete the vehicles. You can delete. Oh yes, one other thing to note: if you want to change the truck, then actually I'll copy stuff over and then I'll show it to you. What you want to do if you want to change like these trucks, you repair and even medical, because they're pre-configured with some extra things in them. And then we have just some like alive modules to pre-configure things and some ACRE setup. So like some basic setup modules you also want to copy over. And then there's one other useful thing, and that is this respawn_west. This is a marker. This is an empty marker with a magic name. Magic name called respawn west. Actually, yeah. Some armor patch added this cool. Don't worry about it. Okay, so I'm just want to check where the name of the selected wrong. There we go. that's actually the marker. So this is respawn west. That's the name of the marker, and it's the empty marker. But what this does is, as the name implies, every time someone on the west side, blue 4, dies, they respawn on the spot. So that's the important. If you don't have this marker, you'll respawn where you died. So that happens sometimes when people forget the marker. So I'm just gonna, in order to make sure you copy the marker, on the top right in F6, make sure you select markers so that shows up, or so you're able to select them. And then you just select everything up here, and then it's gonna Control C or right click. I think, does right click copy work? Probably not. So I'm just gonna Control C. Then I'm gonna, I press Control O just to get, same thing as just open. I'm going to go to my new mission, op example. I don't need to save anything. Okay, and then it's going to pick a starting place. So, where is the starting place? Actually, I'll tell you what. Airport. Okay, so brute force. Oh, brute force is back just in time to tell me where to start the mission. Okay, great. So I'm gonna have. Okay, airport. Here's a nice little. Car park, medical buildings. I don't know. I already have a medical building, so. The white is very bright, by the way. Let me check what it looks like. Oh yeah, shit, it's all bright now. I don't think, I'm not sure what I can do about that. yeah, oversaturated, but my game settings is not. Or it might be the fact that it's yeah. Okay, it's gonna look crappy for me, but I'm gonna turn off HDR. If I can. Okay, so I'm gonna use. Actually, just so I remember. Okay. Okay. Is it still? Is my stream still going? Okay, it should be because I monitor it all week. Okay. Now it looks really bad. Okay, so just let me. So I'm now in the game. Does it look normal for you guys now? Just confirm, please. What time? Oh, so it's still oversaturated. Okay, now it's oversaturated for me as well. That's odd. Yeah, hold on a second. I don't know if it's to do with this display over here. Or maybe I'll just make it lower over here. Probably not the best idea. How do I do this? Brightness. Let's go down minimal level. Okay, well, does it look? let me just reduce brightness and gamma. Gamma? Wait, saturation. Where's saturation? Ah, there we go. Ooh. I'm gonna fake it. Okay. Looks a bit funny for me, but it should be good enough for you guys. Looks a bit like you've been shot in armor. So I'm gonna do one little tweak. I'm just gonna set the gamma to 1, set the brightness to 1, and then adjust it in this over here. So contrast is good. Brightness like that, and then saturation like that. Okay. Is it fine for you guys? Okay, I just want to take down the saturation a little bit. Okay, so to carry on. So hopefully I still have in the clipboard all the guys. So I'm just going to have the still trying to decide. Okay, we're just gonna have it over here. So I just want to make sure that I copy over oh wow, now map looks bad. We won't use the map that much, don't worry. So I'm just gonna paste it, and then we see the empty respawn west marker over here. Okay, so I'm just gonna move the stuff around, and I'm going to, let's say, not have about 30-second delay. I see. Okay, I just want to see if I can. I want to just see if I can adjust it via this as well quickly. About 30-second delay. Interesting. Oh, I see. Sorry, no, I'm just okay, so looks like the map is unaffected by these settings. Okay, so let's say so now that we pasted the stuff, we are going to remove. Just dropping brightness was good. Okay. Well, brightness didn't affect the map, so let's go to brightness a little bit more. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to don't overdo it. Okay, so I'm going to customize this. So let's say we're not going to have armored vehicles. So I can actually just delete these guys. It's not essential really, but there you go. Simple as that. To customize a bit. Let's say I want to use Humvees. So I'm going to take this repair vehicle, and you double click on it, and you go to object type, and then you select it from there. I'm just going to search repair, and then we should see a Humvee repair maybe. I don't know if those exist even. M1038 repair. That's probably it actually. There we go. Yeah, they do exist. And then UGV, we'll keep that. And then the medical stuff, I'm just going to move the medical. So this medical building is actually pre-configured for medical stuff. So if you double click on this, you scroll down, you can actually see ACE options is medical facility. So you can actually do this to any sort of vehicle. You can customize them for ACE settings. Don't worry too much about it. We're just going to keep that same thing there. And I got to keep a medical vehicle out inside the building. That's why I couldn't see it. So, so one reason why, this is a good example, is this is actually a medical resupply crate. So it's actually a good idea to just keep that. So I'm just going to change that to medical and find ambulance. Ambulance, there we go, same family, there we go. So now we have medical ambulance vehicle, we have that, we have those slots. This is, you might want to adjust this radio. So I'm just going to show you one little thing to do with the editor, just so you guys become familiar with it. So this is obviously for opening, saving files, exporting. We'll go through that a bit later. We don't really use much of these. View, yeah. Shortcuts are handy. So if it's night, then you can press L to get lights and illuminates everything. So I'll just show you. So if you go to general, this is actually another. This is the mission name that's supposed to appear in the slot selection screen. That makes it nice and visible. So I'm going to make this at 8. So it's the naming is a bit different to just make it the full sentence for this one. And this one uses dots. If you remember the where is it? The file name. This is the mission file name when we saved it. It uses hyphens. The reason why is because dots are escaped. So when you export it, it'll have a really funny name where it's like some other bunch of characters. Might show you, but for the file name you want hyphens, and then in the description name you want dots. Yeah, if you don't get the naming right, don't worry about it. It's fine. Okay, so, and also I'm just gonna. I'm gonna keep it like this. So you can number this exactly. This is just version 1 of our mission. And here's the description that shows up when you load the mission. So and then that's it. This is independent. So if you want to use green 4 and you want them to be enemy, then you just do that, and the friend with op 4. Or if you want everyone to fight each other, you can do that. Doesn't matter. And then you just click OK. Now the next one is that was attributes general. That's an important one. The next important one is environment. So environment here, let's say we want it to be nighttime. It's fairly self-explanatory. Let's say I want it full moon. I'm assuming it's close to the beginning of the months. Yeah, the problem with my screen is that screen's all messed up, so I can't even tell. But I'll just show you. If you press L, then you get a giant spotlight underneath you. You press N, and then you get night vision or thermals. So I'm going to do this during the day due to the lighting conditions. Yeah. Okay. So that's that. Tools, debug consoles, more for scripting if you want to experiment with stuff. You don't have to do that. So we will actually be using a config viewer just to get something. I'll show you a bit later. It's actually probably not, maybe not today. And then, yeah, I don't know what those are. I guess, yeah, I don't use that. Actually, what is that? Ooh, interesting. Anyway. And then play multiplayer, play single player. Yeah, so that's and then those these two actually can be useful, but we won't go over it. So, oh, and then one other thing that's important. Actually, what is this? Oh, I've never actually used this screen. I think it's a new screen. Anyway, we have our mission. Xamath actually takes care of this stuff, so I think it overrides all of this. So don't use that. Performance. This is for dynamic simulation. So if we have a lot of AI, it helps adjust that. So we are going to we might touch on this a bit later. Okay, so I mean this is just the top. I mean it's okay if you don't remember everything, but I just give you a general idea. So that's that. Then I'm just going to show you some tips for moving stuff around. So so there's two useful things over here. There's toggle vertical mode and toggle surface snapping. So toggle vertical mode is actually, let me just there we go. So I'll probably have to take it to a cliff. Let me just take it to a hill, just so I can show you this. Actually, where is a hill? It's a bit flat. Ah, there's some right over here. Oh great, this is underground now. Okay, so the vertical, it's surface snapping. So if you enable surface snapping, so it's on, so that they're all pointing towards the table surface, as it were. If you go down like this, then if vertical mode is off, then it'll or I mean the vertical modes, I don't know if it's this mode with like looks like it just ignores the curvature. It's always going to be pointing up no matter what. If you enable vertical mode, then it's going to be normal to the surface of the ground, or perpendicular, like that. So it follows it nicely. And with stuff, if you don't have surface snapping on, then it doesn't care about it. So we can oops. Actually, I don't know what's going on now. Anyway, let me just, I'll show you with other items because that'll be more clearer. So I want to put these stuff on the table. So I'm going to have, so if I put the phone down, it won't snap because surface snapping is off. It'll just go right through it. If I turn on surface snapping, then it'll just snap like that. And you'll see a little symbol, look, if you look at the green thing, has a horizontal bar on it. So if you want to, there you go, put it down. So I'm going to move these together and put it back on our base. Okay, one thing you saw is that everything was like trying to snap to the ground maybe, so it all got messed up. So if you want to actually move, if you have a situation where you have a lot of objects that you want to move, you got like, let's say you got them all arranged relative to each other in one spot, you want to move them somewhere else, you can actually turn off both surface snapping and the vertical thing, and then you can move them around and they'll never get messed up. So I can move them around here, I let them go, I'll then even bring it back up, and then I gotta bring that all the way over here, back to base, and then there we go, they're still together and in the air. Okay, and then I gotta turn on those stuff again, and yeah, there we go. So that's one handy tip with moving stuff around. The other thing is also these things over here. If you want to have more like limit your control, because I'm using the no widget, so this is a mouse cursor that can do pretty much anything. But if you want to, for example, translation widget, and you can just drag this arrow to move it along the what is that axis? I don't know, probably an x-axis or a y-axis, z-axis, like that. And if you want to rotate, you click on rotation widget, and then you can rotate along this axis or that axis or this axis. By the way, all of these key values are also over here. It's rotation. So if you mess up the rotation, you just want to have it, you can just zero everything out, and there we go. It's not messed up anymore. And I'm just going to put this back thanks to surface snapping. It fixes it for me. And if you mess it all up, you can press Control Z or the undo button until it looks right. The undo button isn't 100% reliable. Sometimes it forgets, like doesn't save you what the things you just did. Area scaling widget. Yes. So what I will show you, what we'll do. Actually, I'll just jump ahead a little bit, just to a few objects. So that's basically the stuff over here, and yeah, I think we pretty much set up the ground area. I'm going to show you just one example. Let's say I'm going to use a trigger because I don't to use markers I have to be on the map and that looks ugly. So I'm just going to select this, and if we do area scaling widgets, then it just scales along those axes, make it bigger, higher, lower like this, and then area widgets basically has a box where you can just hold down and you can drag the box larger and smaller. So this is actually a very convenient way. Before, what we had to do is we had to go into size and adjust this until it looks right. Size 15, no, 25, and just get bigger and bigger until it's what we want. Okay. So, by the way, we pretty much did finish our base, so we can pretty it up. Actually, one tool you can use to help you out, you can go to props. Actually, I'll just show you this. So on the right side, on the left side, by the way, you can hide it with Q. I think not with Q. I forgot what the shortcuts are. This one just shows everything that's on the map, entities. So pretty much every object that's on the map. That's not part of the terrain. Like these building objects will never show up over here because there's a difference between buildings placed via the editor and that's baked into the terrain. So I'll probably just show you barracks. Let me see a barracks. I want to have the exact same one. To Noah. There we go. So these buildings, you can place down your own buildings. Okay, so place buildings do not show on the map. So you can see here, if you can see, it does not show on the map. Also, you need to be on the map mode in order to place markers. So I'm going to place this field hospital over here, and then respawn marker. Yeah, it's the... Okay, so you can see the gray over here, and this is when you placed, and it will not show up. So you might have to do it manually. So, I mean, I actually want to write a script which actually gets a bounding box, because you get a bounding box which is like the 3D size of this, and it automatically creates the things for you. So it would be a relatively simple script to that. Or you could just like literally paste inside the init, and it'll generate the thing on the map for you. Should be relatively simple. I think, yeah, so that would be helpful for places like lots of buildings down. Anyway, so yeah, that's just one thing to note. Okay, so yes, so that's this left side. Locations, I don't even use it, so I mean, I guess it just so I think you do have location modules where you can like make your own locations, but these take you straight to towns. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the airport. So I'm just gonna, by the way, ooh, that looks so ugly. So if you scroll out and you want to go somewhere else quickly with your camera, middle mouse, click on the middle mouse button, and you'll see your camera shows up, and this shows you what you're looking at. So that's a nice shortcut to move around quickly if you want. Okay, so that's that side. I don't use this that often. This is the more important thing. So F1 objects. So these are individual objects. So let's say you want assisted gunner, or whatever you want. If you want to place down a vehicle, this is different from Zeus. In Zeus, you have to go to the empty like props object and find the vehicles in there, and then place them down. It's called empty, not props over there. But in the Eden editor, you click on your vehicle you want, and you hold down Alt, and you'll see the cursor goes yellow, which means yellow is a symbol for empty. I mean color for empty, and this is now an empty vehicle. If I don't click that and I place it down, then it comes with an AI inside. So that's how you place down empty vehicles. So let me just place down some minigun Humvees or something. Ooh. Let me see. Is there any cool... Ooh, I haven't seen that Humvee before. Place that down. I know what this does. Shelter carrier. Sounds boring. Okay, so the tow. It's a recon, SOV, and then there's no miniguns. Mark 19s. We like Mark 19s. Oh, there's another Mark 19 here too. Actually, not sure. By the way, if you want to explore a vehicle, like if you want to explore the capacity, this would be a nice thing to go to the next section. So there's compositions, which is basically just mainly groups. But there's one extra thing I'll show you now. It's useful when you're placing down your base stuff. So I'm going to go over here, and I got to just place down a group. So infantry and just like assault squad. They call it assault squad as well. It's supposed to be rifle squad. Anyway, and then you place it down here, and then you can see 4 people. Okay, so apparently 1, 2, 3 are 3 people. So you can see that when you place the units inside, you can see the icons and the roles. So this is passenger, the seat, and driver with a steering wheel, and heavy. Yeah, and this is also a passenger inside here. Heavy gunner is the actual. He's a machine gun. You can click on that and drag them out. So heavy gun. There we go. He's got a big machine gun. Or you could place. Or you can try and drag him over. If you try and drag another guy and there's no space, you'll get an orange symbol like that. So apparently there's one guy sitting inside the fridge. Ooh, what is he doing? Looking at something. This is fascinating. So yeah, and then you can also hover over and delete. And also you can, you'll also see the same thing if you hover over the actual vehicle icon, and you can see the guy over there, and you can delete. So yeah, and also each guy can be moved individually by clicking on them, or you can click on this. This is a group. Now, a group is actually its own thing, its own object. You actually, if you click on entities, you can see it over here. So you have units, and then you have a group. So a group is composition is also kind of a group, but not necessarily a group. Like, so composition, a group is a subset of composition, and it can have its own code, its own stuff. You seldom have to deal with this, except one thing you might do here is with the performance. Where is it? Composition, objects, dynamic simulation. Yeah, there we go. It's right there. We'll probably talk about that later. Okay, and oh yeah, and I forgot. If you want to select the group as a whole, you just click on the group icon above it, and you can actually they'll select everyone. And if you delete that, you should be deleting everyone. If you have two people in two different groups and you want to group them together, you can hold down Control, and you'll see like the cursor have an orange line and like a corporal rank. And you just drag him over to that guy, and now he's part of his group, and this guy's all alone, and he's a group of one there. A nice little trick. This is an old trick. I don't know if this is probably a newer way. If you want, let's say, hostile. So you see, civilians don't have any groups, so it's just individuals. So if you want a civilian to be like a blue four or something, other than dressing them up differently, you can go to a sort of blue four group or blue four guy, and you can I can make him join that group, and now he's actually a blue four, because the side you're part of is actually decided based on your group. It's not individual based. It's only group based on your group. So if you join, if somehow you join AI red 4 side groups, if you imagine if you had an ace option to join the group of an enemy, then you'll be part of their side and they won't shoot you anymore. If hypothetically you were able to do that, I don't think ace allows that. Okay, so that's those things. And then, oh yes, I just want to show you if you want to customize kits. So this is for AI, not players. So actually, if you do want to customize a player kit, technically you just remove this init line, but it does kind of not part of the group, and that does mess with some stuff. So you can probably ask me, and then I can tell you how to do it more safely. But anyway, so if you want to customize an AI loadout, you can just right click edit loadout, and you get, this is just Arsenal, Ace Arsenal, Biz Arsenal, and then you can not import, loadouts. There we go. Down heli pilot. Apparently I use that. There we go. Here's a down ZA heli pilot. Apply. There we go. So that's that kit. Okay, so let me just delete him. Well, I could actually use him as someone to be rescued. Okay, so that is the basics of that. Okay, and this is the same thing for Op4, Green 4. Doesn't matter if it's composition or individuals. Just have different stuff over here. See all the different factions. So factions, yeah, well, the civilians, a bunch of different kinds of civilians. Nice ones, Chenaros, Takistan. They have lots of cars and stuff. And then props. So this is a bit different. So props, as you saw earlier, you can place down individual buildings, or you can go to groups, compositions, with props, and then you can have some pre-built bases for you. So, I mean, what's a civilian checkpoints? Large. Okay, that's not a very large checkpoint. Let's just go to something I know that's big. So if you go to Cup, Military, Woodland, Field HQ Large, and then Field Barracks. There we go. So that is that. One thing to note is you might want to increase performance. If you place down lots of objects that can negatively affect performance. So what we can do is we can disable everything. So if I select all, I can drag select a whole bunch of these things. I can right click, I can go to attributes, I can present special states. Oh, there we go. If we go to special states, I can make it a simple object, and it doesn't work with all of them, just works with some of them. And as it says, that kind of tells you what it is. Say performance is available only for objects where these sets. Okay, so just disable some options functionality. And see, the only ones that have that functionality turn gray. So instead of having a yellow icon, it's gray. So that's chairs. So the chairs might not be able to, might not be able to pick them up and move them around. Maybe you have to check. And then if you want to have extra performance, you can do. To be honest, I'm wondering. We should probably test it because it says here, when enabled, object will behave like a map object or whatever, which can save some performance. This option is available only for objects where it leads to improved performance. So the next thing we do is click on this, enable simulation. We untick it. And now these do not function, like these not react at all. They still have collision, you can still shoot them, bullets won't go through. But other than that, nothing happens. I mean, like, for example, if you disable the door here, disable the building over here, disable simulation, then the doors won't be able to open anymore. And on these things, the bunkers, the ladders won't work anymore. So you have to, probably want to just select just the interactable objects and make them enable simulation, and there we go. So everything else, you don't need to interact with a HES group area, and I think you can even still climb it, even if it's disabled. But you do want to interact with doors and stuff. Okay, so that's just one note on performance and how to get a composition. And compositions, you can get them on Steam Workshop, so you can get custom, I think. Yes, so Steam Workshop ones show up in custom apparently. Extra small, yeah. So these are, I only got a few off of. Here, the USS Liberty. Boom. Oh, damn. Right. Let me just see if I can place it down without snapping stuff. Place down. There we go. See? So this is where the snapping trick comes in. You actually don't want it enabled, and then you place it down, everything works correctly. And yeah, so we have a ready-made ship the annoying thing with the ships, though, is just these things, because these aren't part of the ship, so you have to place them down manually. So it's handy to have these things come with it. Yeah, some ships do have presets if they're not made by Biz. So like the LHD helicopter carrier, this has a whole bunch of presets that Cup gives you. Like you don't have to use these props. Okay, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So in terms of the user interface, are there any questions? I still gotta go over waypoints just now. Wow, delay must be large. Okay, that's a big delay. Okay, so while I'm looking around, any suggestions for where I should place the enemy camp or place that we're going to be attacking or whatnot? Let's go look around. Yeah, I see delay test pop up there now. Okay, so remember we did this before for a mission. Okay, that's strange, up and down. This is I am streaming at a high bit rate, which is a bit of a waste considering the messed up colors. So we did a mission on this area before. I want something that we can drive to. Anyone have any suggestions? I'm just have a look. Okay. Oh, haven't noticed this before. No. I don't want to open up the map. It'll look hideous. I think we could clear out maybe just a little village. Forest, okay. Campbelltown. Interesting. Well, alright. So, I'm thinking... here's a base. So yeah, we can have a base in a bit of Campbelltown, and there's a chunk of forest. There we go. Everyone's happy, sort of. So we're not really in the town. We're not really in a forest. But we got a bit of everything. Okay, so we'll use this base. I think I remember some of these bases had some floors. This one you can just climb underneath. So that's I remember this. They never fixed that yet. Okay, so we will use this. So I'm going to place down AI. So we have our base done, and we have our markers and everything done. And also, sorry, one other thing. Before I move on, I'm just gonna place the area. So I'm just gonna, I'm gonna delete this field hospital. I mean the marker. I'm gonna place down another marker. I'm gonna go to icons. I'm going to go to NATO Blue 4. I'm going to go to installation, and I'm going to say, yeah, I'll just call it forming up point. I don't know if that's probably not the best idea, but to specify exactly where in the giant airbase you're in. And then there we go. So now this will show up on, this marker will show up on the briefing screen and everyone will see that. Okay, so at least we know where we are, and now we're going to know where we're going, where the enemy is going to be. So I will now do op4, and I will do installation. You don't have to do installation, you can do other objective markers. You only place down markers in the 2D view. I don't know, let's go to camp for now. Okay, so I am going to place down, I'm not going to use any special features right now. So I do want to garrison the buildings, but I'll show you an easy way of garrisoning it just now. First, I'm just going to place down some like a patrol, or like maybe just some people sitting around inside the base, and a patrol and a QRF. And we'll test those triggers, and we'll see how to do the triggers. So first things first, I am going to select an enemy force. So who do we want to fight? Don't say Russians. Shidaki, haven't fought those guys in a while. Iraqis. Okay, Iraqis on Scotland. Makes perfect sense. Hussein regime, there we go. Time traveling Iraqis probably. Okay. Or maybe this is in the past and I don't know. Okay, so we have some Iraqis down here. Yes. Okay, so we have just a group sitting over here. I'm just going to leave them alone, so you can see that these work just fine if you just place them down, and technically you can just move up and fight them. And I'm going to have a patrol, just a fire team, and I got to give them a manual patrol path. So I'm just going to place these guys down here, and I am going to hold down shift and right click, and it'll create a waypoint. And what you can do on either the group, this composition state, or on the waypoint here, you can set the initial formation. So I think column is a wider, the file is a narrower column with less spacing, and we can make them safe. So note that the different states, it's kind of interesting what the different states do. They actually, it's nice that they have tooltip over here. I always had to go to the wiki. So careless, yeah, so careless means they ignore everything. It's sometimes useful. Safe, they walk around with their weapons lowered, and they're not too they don't notice. They're less likely to notice you because they're not as alert. However, if they notice you, they will go on to either combat or alert. They'll go aware. So they'll go aware, which is default mode, and then combat if they're in combat. They know stealth is a manual thing you have to do. Yeah, and they'll eventually go back to safe after a long time. So also another thing is, if you're doing with vehicles, is particularly useful. Safe, they'll actually try to stick to roads all the time. If they're on alert, they'll take a bit of shortcuts. If they're in combat, they'll actually ignore roads most of the time. So, which does make sense. Okay, so I place down my first waypoint. I set these guys to safe, start and safe. And I'm just going to place down some waypoints here, here. And my final waypoint, you place it down, and then you can change it. So you double click on a waypoint, and then you have lots of different types of waypoints. I should probably actually, because it's very handy to get used to this. So what I want to do is actually, okay, waypoints, I think. Okay, so yeah, there we go. So this is a handy page right over here, just waypoints, just explain the basics. If you don't have to go through all that, but I just, if you have any questions in terms of waypoints, it's a good reference, for example. Okay, so we have move. Okay, sorry. So what we want to do to create this, right now what'll happen if we start the mission, they'll just move from waypoint to waypoint to waypoint to waypoint to waypoint. They will stop here and that'll be it. If you want to be a loop, then you go to cycle. Cycle here and you'll see a line go to the nearest waypoint or base or the initial position of the group. So if you move it close to another waypoint, it'll actually cycle to this waypoint and they'll never go back to this exact spot again. So we'll just go here. And there you go. So now we have an endless patrol. And then if we want, we can have a QRF. So what I want to do first is just place down trigger. Let's say 500 meter radius. There we go. So remember, you can it goes to area widget. Nice for us, convenient. You can also right now there's no limit to how high it goes. So if you fly over the top, and they notice you, well, it depends on how we set it. But if you fly over the top, you could trigger the waypoint. And they'll say, hey, someone's attacking the base, even though you fly over the drone like 500 meters in the air. So you can actually prevent that if you want. You see, C is the altitude of size. You can set that to whatever number you want. And then you can hold down Alt, and you can adjust it more if you want. That's pretty much the area that they will react to. So now you want to adjust the trigger. So you don't have to worry about variable name text. The text is nice for if the AIS has done the patrol and gets alerted by the enemy. Let's say they kill the target, will they go back to the patrol? Yes. There is an exception if you use like AI scripts and stuff, but if it's just vanilla stuff, then they should stick to the patrol pattern. It can be annoying, like they're patrolling around, they see a massive firefight go on, and just ignore that and they carry on patrolling around, but they won't lose their waypoints. Okay, so we do trigger present. Okay, so this is probably handy. I mainly use this for my own reference text. If you hover over, you can see camp QRF, so you know what this trigger is for. Variable name, you don't have to worry about that. Trigger activation. So this is now the important stuff. So type, you can leave it none. We almost never use the other stuff. I mean, the guarded buys is actually kind of interesting, but you can go with that for now. Activation, you can say, well, who triggers this? So it's blue for. When they get inside, it's triggered. And activation type, you can easily say present. So if it's just present, and any blue 4 walks into this area, the trigger will immediately be activated, whether or not anybody sees him. So if you want to make it more realistic, then you can set the activation type detected by op4. So only if op4 sees you, then triggers is activated. Ignore these things. Repeatables if it triggers multiple times. So right now it'll only trigger once. And then this is handy if you want to have a little delay for the QRF. You can do, once the conditions are met, the trigger will activate after. So if you want, we can try and make it so that if an op4 detects you and you kill them fast enough, then it won't be then the trigger won't go through. So you can make this timeout. So countdown, once the conditions are met, it'll just the trigger will happen after a given amount of seconds, no matter what. If a timeout, then it means that it must be detected by op4. Blue 4 must be inside the trigger and detected by op4 inside of it for the given number of seconds. If they're not, if those conditions are not met for the entirety of those seconds, then it won't go through. So we'll just make it like 10 seconds. This is also handy if you want to have simulate a QRF that needs to go on for too long. I mean, that needs to wait before they move, like prepare to mount up before they move out. Okay, so we'll make it 10 seconds. Also, one thing to do with timeouts. So if you want, you can make these guys wait randomly at the waypoints. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of the things, all the waypoints. There we go. I'm going to hold on Shift, select all of them, right-click Properties. So when you want to modify multiple attributes, you can see that some of the waypoint type, almost all of them except one that I selected are moved. The other one is cycles. So if you want to override all of them, you can just click this and then you'll override the type. The same thing with order, although that seems very dangerous because they're all supposed to have different orders. Behavior, so every time you reach a waypoint, it'll try and force that behavior. So we'll just stick it to. That's interesting. I wonder if I should. So every time we go to a waypoint, it tries to reset. There you go. Probably a bit aggressive, but there we go. Now the things you can do here, you can have timer value. So I'm going to set 0 seconds. We're now going to make it more random. So before we set 10, 10, 10. for the trigger. What's it, 10, 10, 10? Yeah, 10, 10, 10. So it'll always be 10 seconds. But for these guys... Okay, so for these guys, we'll make it random. So we'll make it like either they don't wait at all. Like basically they just wait for this amount of time before they move on. This is also useful for QRF, probably better for QRFs. And then we have mid, let's say they might wait 5 seconds, so stop momentarily, or the max they might wait like 30 seconds, so they actually wait for a longer time there. So that's the delays over there. Okay, so we have our trigger. We want a QRF, so let's put down some Iraqi, something a bit more killable. There you go. BTR 60, ooh, MTLB. Okay, we'll have a BTR 60, there we go. So we have a BTR hanging around in the town. I'm gonna go on one side note over here, and you see this thing has wheels. If it crashes into things, it might pop the wheels. So what I'm gonna do, go into scripting snippets. This is an example where scripting snippets can be useful. Sorry, I just need to get this out. Put that in there. And then I'm going to actually put it in here for later. Okay, so we go to scripting snippets. Scripting snippets. And then we go to pin, just a nice way to find it. And then we can disable the tire damage. Let's go look for that. There we go. Jump here. And I'm just going to copy paste this into the init. So there's lots of scripting snippets that solve lots of problems. I will go to Armor 3. So I'm going to go into this init here, and that's it. So now if the vehicle crashes, it's not going to damage any of its tires. It actually shouldn't take any damage at all, I think. However, people inside might get some bruises. So that helps with dumb AI driving. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to synchronize. Now, just one thing to note with the waypoints. The waypoint will need the trigger to be completed before it moves on. So I'm going to synchronize this waypoint. So right click on the waypoint. So I say waypoint activation. You select the trigger. You select the trigger. There you go. And now it will stay at the waypoint forever before it moves on. There's only one waypoint, so we would have done that anyway. So let's go here. And then we will make the guy go to the base of the road. And we will keep it safe, but full speed. Try and speed him up a bit. Then once it gets here, we will transport unload. I think transport unload might be for another group. This is where that thing is useful. The group will move to where any units from other groups, there you go. So for other groups, will move to waypoints. Any of its units that are in a cargo space of any vehicle will disembark. There you go. So actually I went unload, not transport unload. There we go. So that's always confuses me. And then once we've unloaded, then we can go hold on shift, right click, and make a seek and destroy. Automatically combat, why not, and line formation. And they'll move in and clear out the base. Yeah, so technically we have a mission. Well, I'm going to show you one other thing. Let's have someone that's captured inside the base we need to rescue. So we will have civilians. We will have not a car. Oh, functionaries. Functionaries are under Chanaris, and what the functionaries are people with suits. They look important. So if you go into a combat zone, don't wear a suit, otherwise you'll be kidnapped apparently. Let's put him over here. He has a nice view, actually. This is a lucky hostage. So if you want him to be a captive and not move around, because otherwise this guy will just, as soon as the shooting starts, or even if he sees an enemy, like any blue for up, we might just get scared of them. So you right-click Attributes. And no, this is new. Anyway, you go to Make Unit Handcuffed. Surrender should also have him have his hands up the whole time, but handcuffed is a safe one. And he will stay there the whole time. There's some other options, other thing where you can technically set unit speed to 0. It's like a script command, but yeah, that's simple. If the guy's handcuffed, you just have to walk up to him and escort him around. You don't have to use your own handcuffs. Yeah, that's pretty much it for little mission. So we have a camp. We have our Blue 4 base, sort of, with some vehicles. And we actually have Ghost Riders, so I'm going to put down Little Birds. Hold on. Let me lay down some Little Birds quickly. US Army Rangers, helicopters, and AH, and MH. Actually, that's just a MELB. There you go. And we have a Blue 4 base with a marker on the map, so on the briefing screen we can see it. And then our enemy base with something to do with a garrison. Next iteration we will make these guys go inside the buildings. You can kind of manually place them or use some biz modules, but there's an easier way I'll show you just now. And then we have a patrol, and then we have a trigger that triggers a cure if that comes in. So let me try. So we're going to test it. But before we go, I just want to show you something. These units over here, these become invisible at start, and these are spectator slots. These are actually spectators. These are for the headless clients to join something. Headless clients, what they are extra little. It's like a server. It's like actually like a game client, like a player joining the server, except they have no 3D display. They'll run on the same machine, the server, and they have a super fast connection. And they basically, because of the single-threaded nature of Arma 3, like it uses a few CPU cores for everything. The headless clients are a good way of. It's basically sub-processing. It's just a concept where you have a completely different process that handles some of the workloads, and the processes are automatically put onto different threads by the operating system. So this is what the headless client does for AI normally. So some of the AI will be split automatically to the headless clients if we have those. We don't always need them, actually. It's not that often it's needed. Okay, so we will start, and one thing you'll see, this guy, this purple civilian, has a red circle around him, around his symbol here. These guys have purple circles around them. So you can see these all guys are purple and this guy's red. So what red is player. So if you select over here, it is player. Where's player? There we go, player. And this means that, yeah, it doesn't really tell you. This is the default person. If you click on play scenario, so in single player, it'll be this guy by default. Everything playable will be people will show up in the slot. So anyone who make playable, right? Make playable will be a slot that you can select and join. So you can even make the AI. You can just go to opt for make some of them playable for some reason, and then people can join that if you want some partial PvP or something. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna play in single player, which is the default mode. And you can see the example mission name over there, like the one we put inside the Eden editor, not the file name. And then you'll see the description underneath that. You can also customize the image you want. I don't actually pretty much never do that, but you can do that as well. Forgot how.
Hold fire! Contact! Pilot! Contact!
Why is it dark now?
Contact! Infantry!
Okay, so I'm actually invisible. The other guys are invisible. In single player, you can see all the playable slots show up. Let me actually adjust the brightness here. Okay, still a bit messed up, but it's very strange, this thing. Why is shadow drawing not enabled? And then object, okay, display AP. So contrast, maybe? Yeah, contrast needs to be reduced. There we go, contrast as well. So AP settings can be default. Your general settings, brightness to 0. That setting was the best. Okay, well, it's fine for now. I'm going to mess with it right now. So if you have a use, now the useful thing that we have in XAMPP by default is the admin is by default a Zeus. So let me just the controls for that common. I think Zeus. Where's the Zeus key? Probably. There we go, Zeus. So by default is Y. So Zeus key over here. So I'm gonna go there. Press Y. Has a little delay. There we go. And now you're in Zeus. So this is actually better for testing stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and so you can see here these guys are just sitting around waiting because there's no, you see this, he's waiting at this waypoint. There's no trigger yet set, so he's waiting. And we have the guys just sitting in the base like I said they would, and we have a patrol. One thing I want to show you, if you press plus on your number row, you'll see a time goes to ×4. So this is a great way to accelerate time. I think you can only do this in single player. You can see how things go. So you'll see this patrolling team move to this waypoint, stop for a few seconds, and move on. And then for the next one, it's going to be a bit longer. And because I'm impatient, here we go. And he goes over here, stops, probably a bit longer. Okay, let's see how long they'll wait for the next one. This one here, he goes here, stops. There we go, a bit longer. Okay, moves on. But you get the idea. It's actually weighted towards 0 because it was like 0, 10, 60, or 30 or whatever. So it's it's going to be shifted closer to 0. But it's a slight unpredictability in the patrol path. Okay, so now if we place down a blue 4, let's put on use oranges. Just check. Okay, so use Army Rangers, Infantry, Rifle Squad. So we will just put these guys down and we'll move them over here. I think they might see some people, or they might just rush inside the place. See, no one's reacting yet because they don't know they're there. So even though they're inside the trigger area, no one's reacting. They don't know how to get. They probably can't get inside. Okay, will he phase through or will he find an entrance? Yeah, he'll find an entrance. Probably gonna come across the patrol. It looks like they're in like a combat state. So now they're like staying along the wall. Okay, Tan's gonna have these guys go around the entrance inside here. It's a good thing we have time acceleration on. So they're in combat mode. I think they actually know about the AI. Yeah, they're in combat mode. That's why they're moving all like slowly, because they're in combat mode. And these guys, okay. Now these guys are going to be shooting. These guys are reacting naturally. And then these guys should start. There we go. Now these guys are moving. Apparently they didn't get inside. So normally if there's a long route, like if it's a long distance, they should mount automatically. But they didn't. Maybe it wasn't far enough away. So it's another thing to tweak. So now it stops here. And then there's nothing to unload. Yes, so it just carries on now. And these guys are even slower because now they're in combat mode. So these guys are going to be in the battle for a long time. And these will drive up. Search and destroy inside the base, apparently. Just ruin the base a bit. Just make sure that let everyone know that you've done your job. Destroying things. The way search and destroy works is actually going to perimeter, I think. And yeah, these guys are going to take a while to get up there. They're in combat mode. So that's when... So you probably shouldn't mess with the mode. They're smart enough to go automatically between modes. So we'll include that. Okay, so I think we get a general idea there. So we're going to iterate now. Okay. Yeah, putting them in the QRF vehicle does make sense, but I want to show them not needing that. Okay, so let me see. General settings, brightness on 0. Okay, so let me do that. Video, general. What is it? Display. Yeah, this is a general one. Okay, well, I'm going to have to reduce that one as well. Okay, so we're going to do two optimizations. The map is even worse. We are going to not have a go combat mode. Just going to keep it unchanged. Okay, and then I want to have these guys go farther away, actually, because I think this should be far enough away. Yeah, I think that should be far enough away. You can drag the AI inside of him, as Naru said. You can also have a waypoint where you tell them to get inside first, actually. So let me actually do that. So if we do get in, or is it? What's load? I want to just check load. The group will move to the waypoints, and any soldiers on foot will board any vehicles the group possesses. So load. There we go. So explicitly tell them to load. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use a special module. So we're going to use lambs to do the garrison for us. So we're going to do garrison. Going to place down this, and then we can set this to encompass all the buildings we wanted to have. Here, here, here. We can also make it rectangles, and that's often better. There we go. Here, here, here. And then what we are going to do is we are going to just group the leader, or actually sync the leader, not group it. Sync the leader to the module. And inside the module, we can do things like teleport units. So if this is supposed to be at the start of the mission when no human will see it, then you just use teleport. Dynamic patrol means like two of those guys probably will just like become a separate group and just walk around the immediate vicinity of the base, which we already have a patrol, so we won't enable that. Sort positions by height means they will take up all the top level positions, all the buildings first. So we will not use that, otherwise this gets a bit weird. Gonna have like no one will be inside the barracks, like most people will be standing on the rooftops. Would be a bit weird, a bit too aggressive. And then this is exit trigger. So basically, you can make it so they never exit the garrison positions, or they will. Some of them will leave if like someone shoots nearby, if they're being suppressed, if they shoot, or if they hit, or they get wounded, or whatever. So just make it random. So sometimes it will leave the buildings. It won't be completely static. Okay, so that's the garrison. One thing I just want to talk about, going back to headless clients. So one bug or limitation with lambs is that scripts, if an AI starts off on the server, which they do, and then after the mission starts, they get moved to a headless client, their scripts will get broken. Sometimes they're closed, but we supposedly fix that. Hold on, where's this add-on options? Where is the... So we have Ace X. Okay, so we have headless. So let me see. Let's see what we have. These settings, by the way, are grayed out because they're managed by the mission file. Inside the XAMPP, there's a file called CBA settings, which you can modify to adjust these things. So it gives the mission maker full control rather than the server. So you can actually customize all these settings per mission. So transfer loadouts transfers the loadouts. Yeah, so transfer loadout of units attempts to work around an issue where units appear naked after transferring to a headless client. So it transfers the current loadout. Log stuff, probably disable that. Yeah, and the mission. Okay, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so that's just the one potential issue which supposedly is fixed. So what now in order to prevent the transfer of the units before, like what we want to do, we want to stop these modules from running before they get transferred. So that by the time they're transferred, only then does the script actually start, and therefore nothing will break. So this is if we're running headless clients. So this just makes it simpler. Make it more robust. So we place down a module. It has no trigger thing. Doesn't matter. No activation radius. We're just going to name it HC delay. And second, now the condition, normally you want this. This means that it looks at this activation conditions. So if set it to true, it'll always be true. Basically, it'll immediately be active no matter what. So this is actually almost never useful except for this case. And here we have the countdown or timeout. Really doesn't matter. We'll just set it to like 60 seconds. But I just for testing, I gotta set it to 10 seconds. So just you don't have to wait as long when the mission starts. But normally for the server, you set it to 60 seconds. Oh, another nice thing, you can when you go to the map, you can right click. And then where's this? Place comment. There we go. Place comment. Make 60 seconds. So when you go on the map, yeah, you see a comment over here. You didn't actually have to, yeah, you can place comments over here as well. Let me just delete that. So you can place comments for yourself. Only the mission makers see this. So you know to adjust that to 60 seconds, for example, so you don't forget. Okay, and then you just simply sync this to the modules, these LAMS modules. You're not universal to all the modules. All the modules behave a bit differently, but all the LAMS modules have that in common, where they can be enabled or disabled based on a trigger that you synchronize it to. And that's pretty much that. Also, we're going to make this a bit better. One thing I'm going to do for LAMS is I'm going to go to this guy, and I'm going to go to LAM settings. I'm going to have a radio. So he has a radio. By the way, AI disables all LAM stuff. So if you want a guy to behave in a very specific way that you waypointed or something, you don't want him to deviate, you can disable the AI disabled for LAMs. So that'll actually make it nice. And has radio means he'll call guys from farther away. So you technically might not even need to have a QRF waypoints, but it's more reliable if you just do the QRF yourself. And then for these guys, we're actually going to delete all the waypoints because we're going to have LAMs take care of it. So we're going to do another LAMs thing. I'm going to LAMs patrol. And this is basically patrol area, the patrol radius. So I think I kind of like that radius actually. The default radius. I'm going to place them inside there. I'm gonna sync to him. Sync to the HC delay. And I'm going to say dynamic patrol pattern means changes over time. Reinforcement, which means that they should react. Instead of just patrolling around indefinitely, they'll act as a reinforcement. And then waypoints will just make it 6, so it has 6 waypoints. And that's it. So we have more dynamic random patrol pattern. We have guys in garrisons, and these guys should be rack better. So now we're going to preview.
Contact. Pilot.
Okay, it's not too dark, fortunately. Okay, I'm gonna go here. So yeah, they've already moved. Okay, so it looks like they didn't teleport to the first waypoint to just start patrolling, which is fine. Yeah, I think that's actually expected behavior. So you can see the patrol pattern is roughly the size of the circle that we placed down. So it's randomly inside that area patrols around. If these guys decide to garrison this side, it is random. Sometimes they'll be up here, sometimes they'll be over there more, but if you have more AI, then it's a bit more, then you get more even distribution. You see, have one guy guarding the hostage. So that's nice. And yeah, this guy is probably going to fall and break his, actually not that high. Yeah, so, and now we're going to place down a blue 4 force. Where is it? Rifle squad. Oh, and one other neat thing we can do is we can place these guys down here. They might start shooting early, and then we can we have LAMS modules inside Zeus as well. Some of them. We can do CQB. I just remember what these guys are called. These guys are Alpha 24 group. And I'm gonna say CQB. I think this. So radius will be like 100 meters. All the buildings. And it will be West Alpha 24, was it? Yeah, Alpha, what is it? West, West, West. Alpha 23. Really? Yeah. You can see our units over here. And West Alpha 24, there we go, that's the correct one. And then script interval, and don't worry about that, dynamic center. It's possible to move in certain position. Everybody, it Now they should technically do CQB on all these buildings. Murdering the stamina. Ooh, shot in the back while trying to clear a building. Oh, wow. That didn't go well. Three down. Okay, well anyway, these guys, everyone's inside the vehicle, I think. Yeah, everyone's on the vehicle. Sorry, the AI prefer going on the vehicle instead of in the vehicle. Although, considering the crampiness of Russian transport vehicle, they don't blame them. Now they get out. And he's already shooting up there. And now they're going to move up more. Oh, apparently some of them want to get inside because we're fast still. But no, kick them out. So the vehicle's going to, of course, charge ahead without infantry support. That's kind of hard to fix. You can actually have waypoints synchronized with other waypoints. So they don't, you can have two different groups. And those guys are dead. There we go. Up 4 wins. Oh, and where was the... yeah, so the patrols, I think it's these guys. Yeah, they're not patrolling anymore, they're just like sticking over here. So they react more aggressively. There you go. Apparently this guy's being shot at still, I think. Oh, no, the area's being suppressed. See, so one thing to note, Blue 4's all dead. Okay, there was still a bit of shooting, but then I stopped. Okay. And he got run over. And he's gonna get crushed. Oh man. Well, job's done. Well, he still has to destroy himself. So I'm just curious how many... Okay. How many people will die while trying to board? See, it's a good thing we have the script there to stop... Whoa! Stop it from destroying itself. But it will find a way if they give him money. Okay. I mean, we don't need walls. And this is Sparta after all. Sparta doesn't need walls. Okay. I think we're done with that. Okay, so just so far, are there any questions? Can you make the AI group separate from the BTR after in disembarks? That way you can give them their own orders to follow. Of course, you can do anything with scripts, but I think what I'll show you is more advanced combinations. So I will take this BTR. I will delete its waypoints. And I will delete their waypoints. I will make this guy separate. So now we have a separate group. These the BTR is its own group and the infantry is its own group. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have, try to remember now, you have transport load waypoint for the BTR. So we have, vehicle again, the waypoint will be placed on top of the vehicle now. So, what was it? Group movement. There is we do this with helicopters as well. So I'm just trying to find out. There's an option that allows you to have one group get into the vehicle of another group. Okay, let me just check. Might be easier to. Okay, so we have. There's load. Let's see if there's transport. Unload. Okay. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna have it like this. I'm gonna have these guys go like this and do a get in. Actually, you know what? You should be able to do it, but I'm just going to. We can just have them start in the vehicle, get out separately, and then that's actually simpler. And now definitely is simpler. But I'm just curious if we synchronize these two together. I just want to experiment. Why can't I here? And then we do transport unload. Okay, that's that. And then these guys. So these infantry will always be ahead. Okay, so in theory this should work. To see it at the start, I'm going to move my... Another advantage of having these guys as your mission maker person is they will not be shot at by anyone. So I'm going to start the mission over here, so I don't have to go into Zeus to see the start of this. Okay, so hopefully the synchronization should do something. I'm just trying to go off memory here.
Infantry 30-996-319.
Okay, so we're gonna skip that. It is doable. You can make them get inside, but we're just gonna skip the initial part. We'll just put them in the vehicle. And we'll just do that. So I'm just gonna put my guy over here, but we'll still go in Zeus. Because you can make one group board the vehicle of another group and then unload and get back in. So you can do that with 2 different groups.
Pilot, 2 clicks west. I've got a visual. Soldiers, 2 clicks west. Foot mobiles, 2 clicks west.
Okay, so the inside. Okay, transport unload. See, now they're waiting for the passengers of another group to get out. Now they're out. Now he should wait at this waypoint. Don't get out. Oh, apparently those guys didn't get out yet. So he's waiting there until... Oh, he ran one guy over. Okay, but that's not going to work. Accept attrition. So he's going to... Now, basically, they're going to be doing bounding Overwatch by hand. Stop here. Okay, now he moves on to the next one. Maybe he kills 1 or 2 more guys. No. Wait. Oh, he did. No, he didn't. Oh, he killed 1. Yeah, there we go. Now he waits over here, close enough. Those guys already reached that place. So now you see them, they're moving together. So, I mean, they take more casualties this way, but not against a human opponent. Okay. So I'm going to synchronize this again because we do want it to be. We still want to use this trigger. Okay, so the QRF is now the same, just like before, except they're trying to be more clever. Okay, so there's always lots of little things I want to show. So I have to show the most useful cross section. So so one thing there's 2 things I do want to go. Maybe to make a mention on some caching features, and then. Actually, I'll just mention very briefly caching. I'll use one very simple method of caching we actually don't use much. That's actually that's the simplest one. So first of all, there is in scripting snippets. I don't know who has access to it. Actually, we should have. Let me actually make all members access. I think it should be everyone actually. Was all members. I know. Okay. Can everyone actually see this? Because it looks like roles are there. Yeah. Yeah. You guys can all see it. Okay, so that's fine. So in scripting snippets, For example, it actually does talk about this is the caching like method I use a lot. So there's some nice things like QRF transports if you want. This is actually an early one. If you want your own AI to have transport choppers that lands near the actual human threat, disembark troops and provide like closer support for the troops they disembarked, then that pretty much explains everything with a little image over here. Oh yeah, so long-term time triggers. This is if you want triggers, like, just note that the seconds, if you want to have the triggers wait for like an hour or two, then on the server, especially with high load, the time will deviate a bit. So this is generally like a more reliable, like you make the date, like for example, this is 6 p.m., 15 past 6. Like the date select 3 is the hour, date select 4 is a minute. And then you put that in condition of the trigger. It does explain the stuff over here if you want to have more long-term triggers. Override if you want to manually trigger a trigger using a debug console. I'm just going to go to the where are the guys? Sleeping. There we go. So this is the one thing. So dynamic simulation is that little thing I told you about. So this is what Biz gives us to use. So it is. If you go to settings, was it performance? There we go. So what happens, just like we disable simulation on a unit, it's enabled by default, but you have to explicitly enable it on a unit. Like when you go within a certain distance to an AI, then it'll become enabled. So we'll actually do that for these two groups. So I will, actually I won't, because I want to show a different form of dynamic simulation. Maybe I will. Yeah, no, I won't show it right now. So you can just go to the group in question, and then you can go to. I won't show you the whole thing. I'm gonna just show you the start. Enable dynamic simulation, and that means that and you'll see a blue symbol show up on the unit itself. You have to make sure that the group inside, because it's a separate group. I think it's these guys, the separate group over here. So I see the question because I'm just going to go to it just now. You can set these to also enable dynamic simulation. And what it means is that these guys won't actually move when the trigger is activated because they're disabled. Someone has to move close to it to trigger them to move. So actually, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I'll just show you with the implications. So question based on QRF. Is there a function to tell you, the mission maker, how long it will take the QRF to get the objective? No algorithm that can be invented by man that can tell you that, give you that answer, because of how unpredictable the AI is. So that you, the mission maker, can get an accurate. Nope, you just run it. So I tell you the best thing: do time acceleration, and then just open up O, and you can look at the watch over there in game time. Hold down O and just see how many minutes it took. That's probably the most reliable way of doing it. And it won't always work. So these guys, it's hard to actually tell, but none of them are moving. So it's actually disable simulation. So I'm going to place down a whole bunch of blue 4. You can start fighting. And these guys will not move. Because they don't know to move. Because they're not alive right now. So I'm going to teleport myself. And then you will see them suddenly move. There you go. Now they know to move. I don't know what they're doing now. I think they're all confused. Yeah, what? Okay. So that's a bit weird. Well, anyway. So we get that idea. Now, to prevent that problem, what we actually do is, it's actually a couple of steps. So it's not, that's why I don't necessarily recommend it for you guys. But basically, you add, I think, I'll just quickly do it. So we'll just do wave 1 groups. So I just going to take this opportunity to quickly show you the mission. So just open folder. And then XAMPP test, no. So we go here, we go to operation example, we just open that. Okay, that's not really what I had in mind. Opened the wrong thing. There we go. I just want to open this. You don't have to worry about this editor. This is just to easily show what the code looks like. So, okay, so inside the pre-init file, I'm just going to put inside that wave 1 groups. So pre-init executes like super early. There's an init SQ. I'll just, you don't have to remember these things. But the core files, so like init.sqf, this script gets run every time the mission starts automatically. Pre-init is a special one that XAMPP has, which runs like before like the mission even loads, like before anything else. Mission.sqm is your actual mission file. Markers, this is what the CO will give you. You just replace this file with what the CO gives you, and then it automatically pre-populates with markers. Don't worry about that. Description is like the old-fashioned way of doing like the basic mission configurations, like respawn types, and so if you want to like change the rotor simulation, if you want to enable a basic simulation rather than advanced flight simulation, you just that. Not too important. The only thing I needed was just paste that inside there. So I did that, then add the following to the composition. So now I got to go to the group init composition. There we go, push back unique this. And then add the group. Oh yes, and then on activation of the trigger. So what happens? I'll explain what happens. This is a slightly complicated way of doing it. Actually, there's more complicated way of doing caching. So what'll happen? So what happens is this creates a like a list, like an array of groups that we want to deactivate the dynamic simulation of a certain time. It just creates an empty list, and then on the I mentioned earlier, you can click on the actual group, and then it adds the groups to that list. It's just a function which says like put this group into this list that we're creating that file, and then on activation of the trigger, it says for each of these groups we will disable dynamic simulation. That's pretty much it. So now if we run it, so I'll tell you the pros and cons of these different kinds of simulation methods. There's actually 3. I'm going to show 2. One of them I'm just going to tell you about. You don't always have to do this, by the way. So if you have like over 200 AI, then you need to do this. If you have less, you probably have to worry about it.
Soldiers, 2 clicks west. Mobiles,
so
2 clicks west.
Now,
Report position.
if you can see these guys still have dynamic simulation on, so they're not doing anything. We place down some infantry, rifle squad,
Ready.
boom,
Standing by.
3 squads. And now, as soon as it's activated, it will be, remember it takes a few seconds for the trigger to activate. I think. Yeah, we're not on time acceleration. There we go. And now it's start. So there we go. That's how we get that to work. So that's just the one method. Then the other method is, this is probably the easiest one. So the advantage of this is if you were to look at, if you had like a whole bunch of soldiers and you were to look at them through the optics of a plane or like a drone, you can see them. So you can see where they actually are. Then the other method is this is probably the easiest method and probably the one recommended in general, is the caching, ZB NR6 caching. I actually can't remember if you have to, it's own settings over here. So what this does, so let's just sync to the patrol, sync to these guys. And I'm going to move my guy away because I don't want him to interfere with it. Okay, and then hopefully this caching only works in synced units, so it doesn't apply to everyone. Can't remember which way it is. maybe I should actually check the setting. That probably says right there. What I'm going to do after this is then just show you how to export and upload the mission. Yeah, uploading is a little more complicated for me. Oh, I forgot to change the altitude, but oh well, I have a long way to fall, it's fine. Okay, so what we should see is... the caching doesn't seem to work. Maybe it's because of the civilian. Let me just delete him. Oh yes, it does work. So you can see the other guys are disabled and hidden. And you only have the one guy. You only have the leader of the group. And so you can see the same thing. Okay, for over here, I think it might be... Yeah, I think it might be interfered with by lambs. Or like garrison. But at least for the patrols, this is how this caching works. So the pros of this is it's quite simple to do. And it's quite reliable. These guys are always moving around. You don't have to worry about enabling, disabling. But the downside is that if you look through a drone, look far away, hey, there's only one guy over there. And you could pop up and then suddenly 4 guys spawn. So I will teleport myself before I hit the ground. Let's see where I am. Oh, I don't know where the ground is. So I will teleport myself here. And then you see they suddenly pop up. 4 guys. So this is probably the easiest caching mechanism. And it works quite well. It's actually a very simple script as well. To be honest, the dynamic simulation is technically simpler in terms of code. So like the underlying code. I think these guys are enabled because I'm close by. Anyway, well, wait. But I was the same place as before. Did I trigger it? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Okay, yeah, so that's that. And now I'm going to mention the third way of caching. I'm actually wondering why this cache... Actually, I'm wondering. Debug disabled. Do not use. Well... Yeah, I could probably experiment more with it. And the other method is a live. So I'm not going to go through a live, but what a live does... Actually, you know what? I am going to go through a live just to show you one feature. So this is the most useful... The only thing we're using a live right now for civilians, because nothing comes close to it in that regard. So what I'm going to do... I'm just going to quickly show you a live, but for civilians only. Now, a live has a lot of functionality. It's actually meant to be a persistent campaign where you play a mission and then the state is saved on a database somewhere. They have a live, I don't know if the database is still running, and then you can join back the mission and you resume from a previous state. So you can see your stats on the site. Basically, it can dynamically generate missions for you. You have AI which understands objectives, and you take towns, and they might want to take them back later. It's kind of an interesting system. And it's actually not that good for missions because it's not designed to be used in standalone missions where the mission maker wants fine control over what happens. It's actually not good for that. NR6 we have is actually better for that. So you can also look into NR6 for more functionality like that. So NR6 is, I think, a better place to start with. But so the caching with a live, it actually has a system where you have AI that becomes profiled. So the AI will literally be deleted entirely, and then in memory they'll have a version of the okay, so they will have they'll have a version of themselves in memory, and they will move around and do things in memory, and they'll even fight other profiled units in memory. So they're gonna have their own wars in memory, not actually in the while they're in a profile state, not actually in game. But then units who exist in actual in game will not be able to interact with them. But when you come close to them, they'll automatically become unprofiled. So it's a interesting system, but that's basically the other big caching thing. So I'm just gonna quickly do a live. So I'll just show you very briefly. So you want to make a rectangle, call it civ. You make a big area. I'm going to encompass the town. Yeah, technically you only have to, I think you only have to encompass the center of towns, and then the whole town is counted. Okay, so we have that, and this marker would normally be seen in this map screen, but a live will make it hidden. Then we place down a live, there's two. There's a live civilians, where's the civilians? Civilian placement, civilian population. Okay, so what we need to know the factions, we need to know the group. So that's why I said earlier you might need to go to config viewer. Yeah, this is a thing. So under config, yeah, config file, and then you go to, yeah, this is a big stuff. If you know the config name, that's fine. But CFG factions, with CFG factions. Did I already have CFG factions? No, I'm looking for factions. Let me just see if I go further down. No. Detectors, factions, or maybe just F for factions. A, B, C, D, E, F. Great. Now I forgot how to find this thing. Yeah. No, a good omen over here. Faction classes. Oh, it's just faction classes. My bad. Okay, so then we go to the _C for CFP. We'll go to Cherno Winter. No, we'll just go normal Chernaros, I think. Cup C Chernarus, and then you paste this name over here, and then you just, for the factions and for the vehicles, placement level, let's do medium, low ambient vehicles, plenty of them. There'll be plenty of civilians for the size, and then for the marker we put in civ, the name of the marker. They'll only be deployed over there, and then that's it. And then what's the other one? The other one just says general things like hostility towards humans. I mean, to players. Humanitarian hostility decrease. If you give them food, they get less hostile. Let's do extreme. It technically should pick up IDs and stop attacking Opful for us, but I'm just curious. Civilian role, you can say Westerns. They'll use like mostly to do with the religious buildings, I think. Interaction, why not? Okay. So that's civilians done. So let's spawn that in. Let's see. And then after this, I'm just going to export it because kind of have a full mission. Oh, actually, I'm thinking of a little trick that most people don't know. It'll take a few seconds after this. It doesn't work with elevation, though, unfortunately. Yeah. Hurry up and load. So Alive does slightly increase the delay of loading the mission, but not too bad. If you don't have a marker, like if you have the TAO marker, which means Tactical Area Responsibility marker, if you leave that blank, it'll then scan the entire map for usage, and it'll take much longer to actually load the mission. And I forgot to fix this. Okay, so now, if we go here, wait, did we actually load this? Oh, civs are being loaded. How come I can see the marker? Anyway, we'll have to think about it later. But here we have civilians. When they're close by, they spawn in. And then when you go far away, let's say it goes to the other side of town, those guys should yeah, those guys will eventually despawn. So we have civilians now. There we go, they despawned. So it helps with performance as well. And we have a random civilian vehicle for the BTR to crash into. Yeah, and they see, as you move around, they'll spawn in. As this is a mystery why the marker is like that. Anyway, so if the marker doesn't go away, then you can simply it's very hard to see. The middle should be about here. Anyway, you can, what you do is you select the marker and set the alpha. Let me just find the marker over here. Markers, civ, there we go. And you can set the alpha to 0, and then it's technically invisible. So you probably have to find a marker over here. Okay, I'll show one quick little trick. Place down a couple of empty markers. System empty. Let's say one for this room. Oh, sure, you have to be inside here. That's. Wait, how do I place them? Okay. I was gonna place random. I'm just guessing the rooms are like that. And here, and then what you do is you take this and you group to, or you sync to. Can't remember. The sync or group. Yeah, I think this might be a thing from the Armor 2 editor that doesn't work anymore. Basically, the idea was that you actually group to the markers or set random start. Aha, there we go. They actually made us a different kind of, rather than just grouping, they actually made it literally that. So you can right-click set random start, you select the guy, and then if the start the mission, a civilian will randomly be in those places. This doesn't, the markers don't have a concept of height, so they will always be ground floor, but that's one way to get it random. So if we start, and I forgot to set my altitude to 0 again, and we should see it. And then after this, I'm going to export and upload, and then I'll load up and I'll play it in the. You guys can probably join me on the server. Well, actually, I don't want to play the whole thing. All right, cheers, Exiler. I will load up on the. I mean, there's no point. I don't want to have us, play through the whole mission, but it'll be on the server for anyone to have a look at.
Contact. Food mobile.
So yeah, there you go. Now the guy is on the far side over here. So as random on the ground, yeah, on the stairs in a very annoying position. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So I mean, we got a base garrison, we got a patrol randomly going around, we got a QRF that's cached, we got civilian presence, we got a randomly placed civilian for replay value. So it's every time I play this is a bit different. So basically a nice little mission. And we got our base with all our standard stuff. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to export it now. This is an important step for uploading. I'm going to go here. So the version number, make sure the version number, it will start with 0. So we'll just have to remember this. So this is 0. So we're going to go to File, Export to Multiplayer. Then the location will be inside your Armor 3 folder. So you go to your program files, Steam apps, Steam apps, common Armor 3, and you'll see an MP. No, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I never have the issue where I don't copy over files. So maybe I can show you how to test locally. I mean, I almost never do this. So if you play multiplayer like this. I'm not sure what you mean by copied files over, actually, because if you didn't copy the files over from the XAMPP, then the single player won't work. Anyway, so I'll go here. I'll just select CO, and this is multiplayer, but it's not like testing as if it were on the server, because dedicated server is different. You have 3 environments: single player, multiplayer, and dedicated server. And so there's no easy way of testing a dedicated server like it was if it was on a dedicated server on your local machine, unless you were to run your own dedicated server on your machine. Or if you were to run another multiplayer instance, like two Armor clients and join one with the other, even that's a bit different still technically. Well, while that's going,
Microphone activated.
Why is my microphone activated? Okay. So while it's going on, we exported it and we see example mission. So what we're going to do is label this 0, 0, and then I'm going to upload it. So for uploading, you can just ask someone on the mission office, but basically there is a the missions office is pinned things which tells you how to, and it's basically mapping like a network drive to copy files over to. It doesn't actually work for me for some reason, so I actually literally just use Azure storage. And then this is, for me, is the simplest, because what we use is it's just an Azure file storage account for this stuff. I mean, we can go back to FTP technically, but the reason for this was for the recce missions, and like if we were to have, like, I was doing this for the recce missions, where you can have many different servers in different places around the world, and they all share the same missions source folders, so you don't have to copy to each different server separately. So there's a whole logic behind this, but we don't need as much anymore. So I'm just going to drag, to be honest, I probably prefer this over FTP anyways, ancient thing. So you drag that, and I'm going to copy that. Don't have much space with this mass 200%. Okay, let me do this. Okay, so we're going to upload. So it's gonna take a few seconds to upload. And then we are, so this is back in the mission. You can see you'll see what the map screen looks like. You can see confirm our markers not showing over here. And we have a base, we have a camp, and we continue. Hurry up. And there we go. You see none of our guys are spawned over here because the sets in the description sets it so that there's no AI playable AIs. They just get basically like deleted or non-existent. And you can see how everything's still over there. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, so I'm gonna exit now. So one thing to note for the file version.
Channel switched.
So now we uploaded over here to these are all the missions currently on the thing. But let's say we in order to delete a file, you actually often have to shut down the server in order to have it deleted, to be fully removed. So that's why we version the stuff. So let's say we make a change and we want to upload it. Now we can't upload the same file name. So let's say we forgot to remember the to-do item we made earlier. We forgot to set this 60-second time to 60 seconds. So I'm going to do that quickly. And I'm going to delete it because we did it. Save, and now I'm going to go to general. I'm going to version up to just a minor little tweak. So like usually like little changes like this is like this small number. Patches maybe like a little new feature, like some new features, like maybe your the drill grounds, you add a new training area, and then the first number is if you're like rebuilding the whole thing from scratch, pretty much, or a whole new area, like doing the whole thing again. So I'm going to export again. Oh yeah. I'm going to now go with this one, and I'm going to change it to 0 and 1, and I'm going to upload. So we can have the old version have a new version together without any conflict. So that's why we do it that way. Okay, and then while that's going on, I'm going to close this. I'm going to go to server browser, direct connect, see the server, password. Oh yes, and just remember when you join the server, I just have to type login because I'm special. And then hashtag mission. But oftentimes you have to wait a couple of seconds for it to actually show up. There we go. You see continue. If you see you're fully logged in, you'll see continue instead of vote. Then you know you're fully logged in as admin, bottom right. So now we go to Mall of Kuntire example. There we go. And just note that it actually copies over the mission every 1 minute. So you might get a 10 seconds before it does the copies, or you might have to wait a whole minute before it copies over the file. I mean, like as soon as you upload it, it goes to a place that's not actually in the missions folder. It has to be copied every minute the server copies from that file, that's the Azure file storage, into the actual server mission folder. And there we go, that's a new version. We have our stuff. We go to SL. Why not? Yes, custom difficulty in the top left, choose that. Did I choose it? I'm not sure if I did. So custom difficulty is our only thing that we can actually customize in the server to have as our preferences. Also, you see the version number over here on the screen. Hurry up. Hmm. Okay, in the meantime, do you guys have any questions? Because after this, we're pretty much going to be done. Actually, technically done now. I'm just proving that it works. The mission works. Well, I said I'm proving the mission works, but let's just see. Not sure why it would take a while per se. So, I'm just let me just go back to the thing. Okay, still going. That's odd. Oh, there we go. Sorry, I just something else. Just logging into the server just to see what's going on. Okay, so I actually have the. I'll show you what I'm looking at. Now we're making progress. This is actually what's going on. This doing stuff now. So okay, it's complaining about a very large search area. So apparently we're doing something with a live that's searching too big an area. I have to check. Did we? Okay, so I think I know what's going on. I think I know what's going on. We're actually searching the entire terrain because I think remember the trigger. Okay, so yeah, on it's just we didn't control the marker. Yeah, so it's actually going through the entire terrain. That's why. Yeah, actually, I'm gonna debug this. I'm gonna. Oh, I forgot. I have to crash. I have to close the game. Oh wait, I'm still searching. I'm just gonna figure out why it's. They can just search. That's to do with a live searching a very large area. Performance warning. Yeah. So with the trigger, the marker didn't disappear. It's supposed to disappear. So that was actually a hint that wasn't being consumed. That means a live might be applied to the entire terrain, which is what you don't want to do. Okay, 1 second. Just gonna go inside and we'll have a look. Yeah, but it seems like there's no other questions, so I'm just gonna do we'll have a quick look to see what happened, and then that'll be pretty much it. Yep. And we can actually check if we're going to have this issue again on the server without checking on the server if that marker that gets hidden. Come on, I'm just trying to look at TeamSpeak. Yeah, if you have access to the Azure folder, you can download all the folders. Actually, I'll just show you. If you want to access every mission file, every mission you've ever played, you go to app.data, local, armor 3, MP missions cache, and I installed only like 2 months ago, reinstalled Windows, so I don't have that many. But you'll literally see every single mission file you've ever played. You copy it to your MP missions folder, and you can play them locally. You like start a new multiplayer server in your own game. You can make it LAN only, and then you just select the missions from a list. So you can just put inside there. So that's how you. That's probably a more convenient way of doing it. Okay, so I'm going to disable the markers alpha, or rather re-enable it. Where's a marker? It's called, okay, this one. Oh, right, this is the mistake I made. I put it in text instead of this. Actually, this is supposed to be called civ over here. There we go. That was the mistake I made. Okay, there we go. So now if I go to here and just double check, civ, yes, that was a mistake. Okay, so now I'm going to just run a test because I just want to run it in single player just to confirm that the marker gets consumed. So that's a typical mistake you have to make, not to confuse text with variable name. The text has no meaning to the game itself, it's only for your benefit, and variable name is quite important. Oh yes, like you're saying, the Reki, I didn't read the second part of your question is can you extract it? So yeah, you have the DPBO, which is a whole other thing. Some tools. You look at DPBO tools, a couple of them. I use Eliteness, which is a simple old one. Okay, and you can see that my marker is not there. Technically, it's still there, it's just hidden. So, and the mission started quicker. Okay, so let me do that. So I will quickly do that. I'll fix this guy quickly. Where's my guy? Altitude 0. Was he only 300 meters high? Wait, oh, there's a rotation. 7 kilometers high. That was a problem. There we go. That's quite a jump. And then version up. Export. Upload. And technically done. And we go to server browser, direct, connect. And it's gonna give it a few seconds. Doesn't give me many seconds. If it doesn't respond, just log in again and hashtag missions again, because when you first join a server, it has to authenticate you with Steam before you can actually fully join, before you can do anything. Okay, so Mall of Kintyre, and we have, okay, we don't have it yet. So if it doesn't show up yet, it means that minutes thing hasn't happened yet. Just select, you want to reload the mission selection screen, so just go load any mission. And then hashtag missions again. Okay, and then we go back to Mode of Kintyre. There we go. Version 2. Let's go. So we basically went through a little debugging session over there. Okay, and you'll see it's going to be way faster. You know, knock on wood and all that. It's already done towing. Okay, now it's on alive. And wait, there was a thing happening there. Yeah, it's the population complete. Okay. Right. Well. This was the correct version, yeah, version 2. Let me check. Yeah, version 2. Yeah, win. I think, right? I know. Strange. Still doing a very large search area. Well, anyway, I think... Let me actually show you. So it's still doing that thing, but not sure why now. Right. Okay. It's definitely doing stuff, not stuck on anything. Okay, well, anyway. I'm gonna take out the headless client if I upload this again. And you can just give it to any member of the missions office to upload the server, and you can play it on any off night with anyone you want. I mean, basically the general rules is that ZA people's on off night missions, the servers they can is for ZA to do with whatever they want to do. They can play any sort of game style, even doesn't even have to be Milsim technically. All right. Is there any final questions? Yeah, I'll probably upload a version without civilians to compare. Okay, so I think that's it. So I'm just going to stop. Hold on. Stream, and then I am going to just join TeamSpeak for any questions. So thanks, guys, and cheers.